What is going on, crypto enthusiasts? Liquidity Citadel, and for all those that are new to the channel, welcome. I'm Crypto Saint. Today we're going to be looking at some setups on ETH. We're also going to be looking at some setups for BTC for those that have an interest, and we're going to be looking at some stable coins to see how that's going to be influenced in the market. I'm going to be running a personal challenge today, looking to see how we can flip 100 to 500 today. I'm going to be running all of that on LBank. Make sure to look inside of the description if you guys want to trade with me live, where there are going to be VIP bonuses, not only inside of our server, but also on the platform for discounted fees. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the charts and let's see what we are working with. All right, so if you guys recall from yesterday, we were talking about a higher time frame setup. We were looking at 1362. We were looking at potentially coming down for a wave 5 into 1937. Now there are going to be some scalp long opportunities that I did post inside of the server, so if you guys are seeing some of those posts and those setups and you're wondering like, well, are we long or are we bearish, what are we doing here? Essentially we're still looking at that 2160 2168 benchmark to act either as a point of resistance, or we're going to have continuation, and continuation is going to push us into the 2200s. That being said, we're kind of like in this choppy weather, very similar to what we saw last week, where we had, 2153 as a high, then we dropped, then we came back up to 2148, then we dropped again. We're seeing very similar reaction inside that area. So that what that says to me, the volume that speaks to me in that regard, is that we have essentially, hang on, let me just drop this down a little bit. There we go. Essentially what we have is we have consolidation. That's what it appears to me on my side. So that warrants scalps. And when we're in scalp weather, it's going to be aggressive TPs. And this is what's really going to be pushing the challenge for us, right? 100 to 500, seeing if we can do that inside of a day. I'll be letting you guys know where I'm going to be entering and what my stop losses are going to be, what my TPs are going to be. You'll actually be able to hear, you'll hear the ding inside your audio as far as when I actually go into a position or if I exit inside of a position. So let's take a gander here. This is the setup that I was looking at just yesterday. I still think we get into somewhere inside of this area, whether it be today, if not by tomorrow. New York just opened here, or at least cash markets just opened. And so we're going to get a fuel to the upside, or we're going to continue to have that dump and move on down. Lower time frames right now, it looks like we have that dump. We're rejecting off of that POC, and we have the volume area low right around 2091. In a perfect world, my opinion, in a perfect world, if I go over to a 4-hour, the ultimate level, or at least the ultimate setup for a long, would be sweeping this area right over here. Right, sweeping that 2009 benchmark area, and that kind of puts us right around like 1937. And I could be completely wrong about that, right? We could stop above that 1955, 1985, or maybe even at the psychological level of 2000, we could stop right at those levels. So it's a matter for me, once I get that sweep, or whether I get a sweep to the upside or a sweep to the downside, I'm immediately going down to the lower time frames and I'm peeking and seeing, okay, was this a genuine sweep? Do I have one sweep, two sweeps, three sweeps, whatever the case may be? And that's really what I'm looking for. Not overcomplicating it, just kind of making it easy enough for anybody. Now, if you guys are new here, keep in mind we do have a free Discord. All these setups, everything that I'm going to be mentioning inside this stream was already posted pre-market for you guys. So you guys already have all the information that's needed. So that way you can make, you know, conscious decisions before the move actually happens. It's one of the benefits of being inside of our server. All this information is also on our site as well too, if you guys haven't taken the opportunity to take a peek at that. I'll share that with you guys here now. Everything is going to be right here on the site first thing in the morning. You'll see the setup for us. You'll see the full breakdown, where the key levels are at, the maps essentially that I'm putting together with those, and what the long setup is going to look like. So this is something that you don't already have saved to your favorites. In the event that maybe you just not inside the server, maybe you have things that are muted, maybe you caught it late, this is something that you can see every single morning as far as, you know, what is Saint doing, what does this setup look like, what does the market look like altogether. So something to take a peek at when you get the opportunity. Let's look at tape surf real quick. We got a volume profile right at that 2102 benchmark. Same for BTC. Now BTC's got a nice little push up to 77,092. 77,092, somewhere in that area. So I'll share that here with you guys now. Essentially, I'm here on tape surf. That's really what I'm looking at. So yesterday, what it appeared was that we had some rotation into ETH and out of BTC. You know, BTC had a small little drop, but, you know, nothing notable to write home to mom about, you know, for lack of better terminology. Now we're starting to see somewhat of the opposite right here. So this area right over here, this becomes like a ceiling for us that I'm looking at, which is 77,067 inside of that area. And then the opposite on ETH, if ETH can hold this, you know, 2102 down to 2097 inside that benchmark, which would essentially be a higher low, just revisiting that area, then I think those are going to be some good opportunities just for looking for hedge longs or scalp longs, if you will, looking to TP around the 2160 benchmark. And if it continues to give, then we'll give. What I mean by that is, like, if we get to 2160s, let's just use as an example, and then we drop back down, but we hold 2125, 2123, then most likely we're going to continue that sweep and we're going to move a little bit higher, 2183, and then possibly the 2200s. If you guys are familiar with how I work and how I do my streams, questions are always welcomed. Always feel free to ask about setups, things of that nature, and kind of what I'm looking at. If you need me to dive a little bit deeper into the strategy, I'm happy to assist in that regard. It's kind of a chill day. I mean, we really don't have the volume on either side, to be quite honest with you. This is the BTC one from yesterday. See, we're just kind of like holding this area right over here. We had a little bit of thin liquidity that sat right over here. I'm on a 1362. You can look at it from a daily. You're going to get similarity in the sense of candles and what I'm looking at. I'm just using a unique time frame because some of the data is going to be a little bit shorter, so therefore I can see the move a little bit faster on a high time frame perspective. So here, right over here, this area, let's see, open 76,650, the lows 76,646. So, you know, very thin liquidity there, but this candle right over here created that for us. I mean, you could get I think we were talking about this yesterday. You could get a 3 here, and then you're looking at a 4, and then you move down to a 5. But I don't think this 3 is done, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be done because I think a sell dot's going to be printing here relatively soon for BTC. Let's see. Let's take the session breaks off because we don't need them right now. Look at something here, down here, and what's up here? Yeah, 2158 inside that area. Okay, so we have some pockets that sit inside that zone. I was actually looking at this first thing this morning. It's, you know, seeing this pump push up. You know, this candle in itself has very thin liquidity. I don't even think it has much at all. Open 2095. Yeah, you got a shaved bottom that sits right over here. So what do the liquidations look like on CoinGlass? Let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, you had a bunch of shorts that started aping in from earlier this morning. Yeah, all up to 2146. So we got a good amount. It looks like a couple of the people that were short from higher up, they added to their positions. Now we do have at 2072, 832 million. There's a larger cluster there, and then the second larger cluster is going to be that 2077. What is this area right over here? So that's 2095. And 2095 has 293 million. So let's see if we sweep that. All right. Yeah, I got bored. Let's see what's looking on a 1 minute here. Fast cooldowns, but also fast warm-ups here. So good battles going on inside that zone. Yeah. Mainly sitting on the 21 minute. And then I'll go down to like a 1 minute to see where the sweeps are at, things like that. Looks like New York gave that little flush this morning.
Jack it up.
And we have room to move up. Not for nothing, but I do got a shaved head right here. So me personally, I see the flag set up, but I don't trust it, to be honest with you. Mainly just due to the shaved bottom here at the right over here. But let's just play devil's advocate here and let's make the assumption that it does move. We do get that. Yeah, so that's gonna put us in the 2160s and some change. Let's see what occurs right over here on this level, because open 2130. Yeah, so you have a shaved head that sits here, and then you have a shaved bottom that sits right here. So there, just cleared that.
Jack it up.
It's kind of risky for the short, like at the front. I mean, if you want to DCA in, I totally get that. I can see that. I can see the DCA for the short. But I think the stronger shorts, in my opinion, are going to come from like 2160s, sweeping last week's high, which was, I believe, 2156. Let's double check that real quick. Yeah, 2156. So just cleared that shaved head on the 21 minute, which is good. Now the question would be, is like, is there enough momentum to push it down to clear the shaved bottom around 2097 and lower, which sits right over here. Weekly low right here. We set our weekly high just yesterday. We haven't broken above that. Something to pay attention to as well too. So like as of right now, you can see like this is our range. Right, because this created it yesterday around what, 1248 range high, and then range low for the week. And we're stuck inside of that range. Breaks above them, you know, obviously if I break above the range high for the week, then I'm looking for the short opportunities, and opposite is true. When we start breaking below and sweeping some key levels, some key areas, then we're going to look for the long. The in-between is very difficult. That's what I was mentioning earlier. It was like, if you're shorting here from this area, I would just be very careful, or at least DCA in, because you could see the sweep to the upside. And if you have a tight stop loss, then you get stopped and it starts pulling back down again. So all those things can occur. Sometimes you just got to sit on your hands for a little bit. Be right back, guys. I'll still be here, but I'll be right back. What's up, Solar? How you doing, brother? Welcome, welcome. Couple with that, we're also approaching month end too, so that doesn't necessarily help. Outside of one final flush on either side. Let's look at monthly real quick. What does monthly look like for us? Yeah, it looks like a Takuri line set up, at least candle wise. It could be a falling 3 pattern setup as well too on lower time frames like a daily or such. It looks like a flag setup, but on higher time frames does look like a falling 3, which we wouldn't see until next month. So if we're gonna drop in June, right? As long as we stay within, as long as we don't breach above this, then you'll get a falling 3, and your measured move probably put us somewhere right around here. Depends on where that peak is at, right? So let's say the peak is, let's just say it is 2160. What is that? That's 2126. Let's say next month opens and it just gives us 2168, 2169 in that area. That's kind of what it would look like. That would definitely sweep. I would be shocked if it did that. I'm not going to front. I would be shocked if it did that. But that would also put us on an 8 for the month of June from a sequential count perspective. And then that relatively should be bottom territory if that were to occur. But I mean, I got 5 days left. So, I mean, a lot could happen inside of this month. That's why I'm pointing out, saying, we are getting close towards the end of the month. So a lot of things are starting to stall out, for lack of better terminology. So you had a cooldown here on the 1 hour, but then we ran pretty hot, pretty fast. Running hot, candle-wise, it's not a good look for longs. What's that look like on a 4 hour? What's the temperature on a 4 hour? Yeah, see, 4 hours kind of lukewarm. Wow, I just caught that on daily. Daily is actually still warm. It's interesting. That's very interesting. So maybe squeeze shorts, then push down. You know, let's look at USDT. That's one thing we haven't looked at just yet. I guess the question would be was that my C wave and was this my wave 1 right here? Let's measure that out. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, you went to a 0.76. Essentially, you went short. Let's just assume, let's just say that it was. Like, I can't sweep this area because then that would break it. Yeah, that would put me right back inside here. Like I said, let's see here for USDT. Actually, let's set some alarms. Actually, I already have one already set right on here. I'm going to move this up to right around. Just go a little bit above it. We'll go right there. Yeah. Yeah, high volatility. No dominance on 4 hour for USDT on either side. ADX is relatively laying flat. There is like bearish dominance. I mean, from a technical, yes, it is above. But if ADX snaps, because usually when ADX sits inside this area, there's a move coming. Like anytime ADX gets to these lines, these double lines that you see down here, there's a move that follows that. So it's just a matter of who's going to be in dominant control when that move happens. So compression. You know, if bearish dominance pops its head up and then ADX comes up, then USDT will dump, and ETH, you're going to see ETH pump. But this is difficult on USDT. Like this is, I call it a DMI tango, right, where they're entwined with one another. It's not an easy read because it's literally 50-50. You do gotta sell that underneath, but nah, you really want to see your sell outs over here, so that could just be shaking out. Yeah, I'm looking at whale alerts right now. There's quite a few buy orders stepping in. 21.26, yeah. 420,000 one at 21.26, and this guy was just spamming it. 2 big orders, 3 big orders, 4 big orders. Wow. 5 big orders. Yeah. A couple big orders at 21.26. We're longing. I'm not in that boat. Don't get me wrong. I'm just pointing out what I'm reading right now. What some of these whales are doing on their side. Maybe they get the pump. Maybe it works in their favor. That's just not my style. Heavy patience, that's all. Heavy patience. Okay, so we cleared all this. Yeah, I still got that save bond that sits right over there too. I can see it on an 8-minute. Yeah, either I completed my wave 4 here or my wave 4. I mean, no, this wouldn't be wave 4 to the downside. This move up would be wave 4 to the upside. It's the subwave count. And that's the ugly one. So assuming wave 4 already completing, we're inside wave 5 to the downside. And then sub wave count wise, we're inside of a wave 4, then we'll move down. I didn't mean to do that. Which time frame are you talking about? I don't know which time frame you're talking about, brother. Come on, we need a sweep, man. No, weak New York Open, bro. Where are we at? 9:30. Where's 9:30? Let's mark this off real quick. I got a shaved bottom there too. That's interesting. Oh, because it gave you a tiny range, that's why. Didn't even come back and retest that yet. What is that? 21.15. You got a range right over here. Weekly range high right here. Then we have New York open high right here. And then we have range low for the week right here.
Brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And for quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was handling.
This is flat out boring PA, to be honest with you.
Stacks, yo. Woo! Everybody wanna do the same thing. Yup. That's why we ain't on the same page. Do my own thing and I maintain. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream.
Oh, that could definitely be a 3. Nah. No. No. I don't see that. There you go. Finally. Thank you. Appreciate that. What up, Ellen? Oh, you're welcome, brother. You're welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Hope you're having a productive day at work, man. I want to see if we can get another sweep above that. I want to see what that looks like. I mean, if that was the sweep, that was a sweep. That's on 1 minute. Maybe we can kill two birds, one stone, right? Get a sweep above the weekly high from yesterday. So we got New York volume today, though. So it's 1 minute shooting star followed with an engulfing. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, USDT's at this level, that 0.88 level. Seeing if that's a 0.5 a wave 2 for it. All right. So 92% for trade so far. Let's see if that holds. I'm just speculating here, but I'm just because I have my ABC. I don't know if my C is done, right? Like my C could very well continue to come down to these levels. But considering that I came down to this level, then I made a higher low on a 4-hour. I'm making the assumption that my C was done over here, and then this move over here becomes my wave 1. But if I breach this level right over here on this current candle, then my C was not done. We're at 98% basically. Yeah. I think wave 3 is somewhere around here. Let's just say weekly target, weekly high. Did you breach that? I think it just breached it. Oh no, it didn't. Got real freaking close though. Now it's gonna breach it. There it is, yeah. So that's invalidated. So that won't work. So wave C just wasn't done yet. Yeah, so most likely ETH is probably gonna push into that higher bracket, the 2160s that I was talking about. Yeah, a couple sweeps there. Still haven't broken weekly high yet. Double bottom, at least local. We gotta break that. Yeah, broke that, so no double bottom there. What do you have for support over here? I mean, pretty darn close. Actually, that is, it's holding it. Let's see if it holds that. We got a gap that sits right over here as well too. And pushing into yesterday's high. Yeah. Should sweep it. I'm just waiting for that sweep. Come on. Mind you, this is New York Open right over here. These blue lines, and that thing never even tested it, not once. So like a bullish scenario would be, you know, if it were to collapse down here and then holding this area right here and then moving back up into, let's say, somewhere over here. What is that? 2115? And see, what I was saying earlier is like we got that first sweep, and then I usually wait for like 2 to 3 more of them. Like this is, it's kind of like an example of what I'm talking about. It doesn't constitute like say, yeah, this is definitely where I'm going to be shorting from, because I could still move and sweep up here inside this area. Just checking my work. That's all. Yeah, holding any of this, even down to here, like holding any of this inside this area, that's pretty bullish. Short term wise, short term. So I would anticipate, like I said, the 2160s. Remember what I said about the DCAs, right? Just remember about the DCAs. Oh, that pulled back up. Okay, so what do we got? What are we going with here? USDT? What is this? I don't know why I have that there. I'll get rid of that. Interesting that we get confined into that. That's interesting. It could have been. But I think our true exit would be sweeping the weekly high, where everybody kind of started their week with shorting. And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just giving you a counter argument. That's all. Yeah, I want to see what happens there. Start squeezing all those bottom shorters. We got 5 days left in the month, you know? It's like an eternity for us traders. But short term, like intraday wise, right? Like when I'm showing you guys on intraday, like that New York open high and New York open low, 2115, 2108. Like if we hold above those areas, even if we got like a, you know, like a, I hate to use this terminology, but it just kind of depicts it, like a scam wick, right? And what I mean by that is not necessarily manipulation, but like if we push down and then came back up and then close inside here and then test it again and then move back up, that would probably fuel us into this area. You know, but if we move down, let's just say like that's one option, you know, somewhere in here or maybe right in here and then right back up. That's another bullish option. We can come to the very bottom of the candle, hold right here, and then right back up. It's when we start to see this and then reject and then another move down, that's where it gets concerning, because then if it does that and then decides to push back up, taking out all these people that are trying to short here, running their stops, and then rejects off New York open high again, then most likely we're going to come down to these levels. And I think on, hey, you like my artwork? Welcome to Arts and Crafts, guys. I think on 21 minute, was it? Yeah, it's 21 minute. Let's just mark that off so we have that for visual. It's 2095, and we'll go back over to the 1 hour. And let's just change that because that could be confusing. That color's stupid. Let's go with not white. Let's go with like this pink looking color. There you go. Right, so I'm just kind of giving you scenarios as far as things that I would look at. Obviously, we have this move down. It looks like an aggressive throwback. You know, sweep this area. Now, this becomes super important if we sweep this area, because if we come up and we start rejecting here, or if we come up and we start rejecting here, then our probabilities will bring us back down. Damn, is that another shaved head over here? I mean, shaved bottom, excuse me. No, there's very thin liquidity there. $0.06 differential, so there's thin liquidity there. So, you know, let's continue to play with that. All right, see, now we're bouncing around that 2000 area. Hold on, I'm on the wrong screen. Shoot. Oh. This is my only complaint about TradingView in that brush tool. Because if you don't take it off, like, it's like I can use any one of these other tools. Like I can go 1, 2, 3, whatever, and then double click and then I'm done. But if I click again, it's not going to give me new rays. I know I'm on my soapbox, sorry. Just an annoyance for the brush tool. All right, so see, now that we're bouncing off of here, let's look at, and we got a sell dot that looks like it wants to print here pretty soon. All I did on my short, I took off some profits off of my short. I took some profits off of my short. This is kind of what it looks like there. And let's see if that keeps going. Become an artist. Yeah, right. Yeah, that New York open high and low was like dookie. I'm just gonna take a little bit more off right here just because we're inside of those areas. So there was a hundo taken off and then another 58 taken off. So basically 158, paid like $9 in fees. So that's what I've taken thus so far. And then I'll just let the rest run for me. I'll just let it run. So if I come back to, you know, break even, then break even, that's good. It's a span of what? Inside of an hour, you know, 150 inside of an hour. That's, I feel like that's a good risk reward. No, actually, it's the same short I had from yesterday. I have one on Bitunix, and then I have one on LBank. LBank, I'm at 2130, 2139. It's a small position there, and then see actually what I'm gonna do here. I'm probably just gonna close. No, actually, no, I'll just leave that one. That's fine. And I'm just gonna take another little bit more profit off of that. Alright, so basically it's a $200 move altogether. I can just let that run. Yeah, the short on LBank is from yesterday. I started shorting like at 21.29, something like that. And then I had small little ads. This was a smaller account. It's a 2K challenge port that I'm using. So I've just been slowly building it. Port's now at 2448. So if I go back to break even, then you know, it's 200 for the play. The port's up. I'm fine. I'm okay with that. But see, I already have limits that are set up here as well too. I'll transition back over to the charts. Yeah, a lot of sell orders on there too. Actually, let's look back on SafeSurf. See, we've got a lot of sell orders that are building here right now. You can see the whale. We had the whale alerts for the buys. Now the sells are starting to kick in. Yeah, it was thin up there. So now it's that 2103 area down to 2097. Woof, look at what BTC did. Good godliness Molly. Did you go to the 2097? Yeah, you went to the 77 that we were talking about earlier in the stream and pushed all the way down. Yeah, this is thin right here. So like people that are longing that on New York, I think that's kind of dangerous because you got thin. So 2103, did we get to 2103? Oh, we got real freaking close to it though. 2105, real close to it. Yeah, so maybe some of those longs will actually may perform. Let's see. Yeah, so somebody in New York, somebody longed New York open high, 190. Jeez, someone longed at 2119. Yeah, I'm looking for the big orders, not these 60s. Like this is that's a pretty massive order right there. Yeah, small little, that's a retail. These are all shorts. So that those guys got pushed out. Oh, you got pushed out. All right. Whee! More liquidity to the upside now. I mean, it's still a big fat pocket at 985 and 733, so you still got some good pockets that sit over there. That looks like a whipsaw if I ever saw one. If this starts to pull all the way back up, it's a whipsaw. It's taking out both sides. It's like copy paste of last week. Yeah, this was last week, right? Yeah. This was last week. That was going to the Saturday. What was this? Right, when was last week's date? Oh, I'm all jacked up here. Yeah, it was the 18th. Okay, bet. Yeah, so look. So, boom, up, down again, boom, flush, right back, flush. Aggressive TPs, man. Like, cannot be married to them. Cannot be married to them. Sorry, I'm fixing my camera here. So you just got to be happy with the quick TP and then call it a day. Or I mean, or leave a runner, you know, however you want to use that terminology as far as calling it a day. But holding on to something is dangerous. Perfect world, man, if we just flushed all the way down to here. That'd be juicy. I think that puts me like at 18. That's 2 bands. But let's go with 2002. Yeah, it's 14. All in a day's work, guys. All in a day's work. And I don't share any of this stuff to impress not one of you guys. You know, it's me versus me. I share these things just to solely impress upon, like, this is how you do it, right? Like, this is the mentality that if you're trying to duplicate, right? If you're newer to trading or if you're struggling in certain areas and you want something to model, like, I'm sharing with you the mindset as far as how I trade, how I take profits, what I look for. You know, I get to an area, if it keeps flushing. All right, cool. I mean, then I'll be in profits. I don't look at them like, oh man, I should have held that bigger position. I would have made more, yada, yada, yada. Like, I cancel all of that noise out. And if I push all the way back up to my entry point, then, you know, $200. There you go. That's, you know, half of a grocery bill, if you will, or a third of an eighth. That's more like of a grocery bill. Groceries are expensive. I'll digress. So we flushed New York open high. We flushed New York open low. I'll show you here on the charts. I'll just open that up a little bit more. You know, that flush is really, we're at a pivotal area in the sense of, are we going to hold 2115 and then we move back up and we move into the 2160s? Okay. Or if we start closing underneath here, then that's a problem, right? Because if we lose New York open high, that's the first line that we're losing. That's not a good sign. If we start losing New York open low, that's an even worse sign altogether. If we lose both of them and then we pull back up and then we start rejecting off of them, then that's no bueno. Yeah, this looks like a whipsaw. Just so I was saying, this looks like a whipsaw. It's just taking out both sides. People started aping into shorts, thinking that, okay, this is where I need to be, and that's a hard candle to trade. Well, let me back that up. That's a hard candle to trade if you're solely just holding on to something. Like, that's frustrating. But if you can go in with a little bit of size, some margin, and say, okay, well, I'm going in with this, but you know, I'm going to take a quick 200 out, 300 out, whatever the number may be, then you really won't care if you go back to break even. You're like, all right, cool. Well, within like 15 minutes, I made X amount of dollars. What's hype doing? I think it was this hype that I was looking at. And I think I was on daily, right? Yep. What did I say? Remember that box that I made yesterday? It was from this wick. I'll take off the candle heat map for a second. Yep, that's exhaustion. That's an exhaustion candle. You know what? I think I might actually short that thing. This is the box that we made yesterday. It was from this wick to these bodies right here. And I was like, if we get inside this box, this is where we're looking for shorts in that area. If you pull up the stream from yesterday, you can see exactly what I was talking about. Let me see if I can actually take a short position on that. Where's hype? All right, hype, there you are. Come on, pick it up. Oh, you son of a donkey. Yeah, I'll just set it a little bit higher. That's fine. I'll just set you a little bit higher. I set mine at 64.284. And let's look at 1 minute here. Is that box transposed inside there? Damn it. I might have to mark it into that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to mark it into that.
When you want to get off the darkest ground, the gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, the gravity pulls you straight down.
1, 2. I guarantee. Watch. You gave me my. I disagree with that. I'm gonna go 1, 2. But I do agree with your 3. I do agree with your 4, and I agree with your 5. So you're giving me. You're giving me A, and you're giving me B, and you're putting me here. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I would have done mine like this. My indicator just picks up different pivot points, so it's always good just to do things by hand too. But I would have gone here. That would have been my 2. I agree with the 3. I agree with the 4, and then this would have been my 5, which I think that's showing me a 5 there. Yeah, it's showing me a 5 there. And then we got A, and now we're at B. And I will measure this out for a C, but let's just say it comes down to the channel. Yep. 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 Well, if that's the case, then this would be retarded. It would be the most ridiculous, and then you'd probably could just go into a wave. So then most likely you'd probably fall flat. And if I'm going to project that, I'll have my ABC, and then I'll have my 1, and then the failure, which will turn into my 3. So then that would look like so then you'll be my 1, you'll be my 2, you'll be my 3, 4, 5. I want to change this back. I gotta fine tune some of this stuff. This is the LA Wave indicator that I was mentioning into the chat for you guys yesterday. If any of you guys had an interest as far as wanting to utilize it, it gives predictive targets. TradingView does offer one if you have their premium subscription. They have one that's it kind of gives you predictive where waves are going to be at, but it's not as detailed or in the sense of where you can adjust some of your settings. So like if you're a true wave technician and you have ideas as far as how wave 2s behave, then you can adjust those. You can look for bullish or bearish counts. You can, and this one in particular is going to give you entry zones and validation levels, and then TPs. So I'm fine tuning it. I'll get a poll from you guys, see how many guys actually want to utilize it. But I did start shorting hype here inside this area, just as an FYI. And that area's inside this green box. That's an exhaustion candle. That's why you see like it looks like that pink. You had a first exhaustion candle here, right? And then you kind of move sideways. Then you had another exhaustion. Then you had a small drop, right? Just because you run into exhaustion doesn't mean like full reversal. It just means like the move is tired and needs to take a break. This was the break. Move sideways. Need a little flush, a little bit more liquidity. Then you move up. Obviously, this is where the channel comes into play. Now we're at the 50 benchmark area on the daily. We have an exhaustion candle, so we might move a little bit sideways here or inside this box. But we lose that box, we break a new high. You're still in price discovery, so you would set your stop loss relatively tight. If I get stopped out on that in the sense of a flush, I think I lose like 50 bucks. Well, I don't think I know I would lose 50 bucks. Excuse me. So let me go back over to ETH real quick. Where are you, ETH? There you are. And then let's go back over to our 21. Oh, you continue to push down. Look at you, Pikachu. All right, all right, all right, all right. Were we on a 1 hour though? Hold up. I could have sworn we were on a 1 hour. Yeah, we were on a 1 hour. So you have a 1 hour close that flushed New York open high and New York open low. It closed below New York open low. The next following candle, which is currently here, the 1 hour, it's now rejecting the New York open low. So I don't know if you recall when I was doing arts and crafts here, but I was giving you that example. You know, if we bounced here, that would have been bullish. If we would have bounced in here, that would have been bullish. If we got a flush and then we come back in here and close above here, that's bullish, right? So those are those scenarios. But now what we're seeing is we're seeing a flush down and then a rejection here. So when you're trading sessions in particular, that's what you look for. You look for your open high and your open low, and then look for whichever side's going to give support or give you rejection. So here, technically, like if you're a session trader or breakout trader, you're seeing the rejection off of the New York open low. So that's where you'll see a lot of shorts start to enter into the market. As a matter of fact, if we look here on our, oh my gosh, where'd he go? There he goes. If we look here on our site, we can see the whale alerts. You know, you got a couple people buying inside of the zone, but look, we got to flush this fuchsia, pink, whatever. This, we got to flush this line before it starts to make any sense for longs. But we could just completely flush that all together. Got a couple people buying here at 2099. What I'm going to do here on my side is I'm going to look for just taking more profits. That's really what I'm going to be looking at. And I need to get underneath here for a long for me to make any sense. I need to see that flush because I need to see the balance created inside of the market. In the meantime, I'll just strip a little here and there. You know, take another little 5%. Nothing crazy. And then I'm going to see if I can get a hedge long inside of this area, inside this zone. Because I think that was a 21 minute, right? Yeah, that's a 21 minute. All right, hype looks good thus so far. Let's do this. Ah, damn. First, I need to make sure this transposes on everything. Or you daily, right? You're daily. So let's do this. I don't care about the fib level really, to be honest with you, because I could do that. Actually, I could do that later. It's really what I'm looking for is I want to make sure that this is global. And I want to make sure that this is global. And then we can go over and do both the charts at the same time. First things first. Alright. And set things, we're going to go here and we're going to add in this. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Right, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good, you're good. What time frame? That was daily. I don't want to see that. I want to see 1 hour, 1 hour, yeah. What's it? 21 minutes, 21 minutes, the one I'm looking for. That's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. We got one close on a 21 minute. We have a close underneath the New York Open Low. So technically this current candle right now that we're looking at, this would be your confirmation candle. But that looks like a hammer. Don't fully trust it though. You know what? I'm just gonna move you there so I can get more data in here. The fuchsia line is a shave bottom on a 21 minute. It's a shave bottom. So basically the pump that we saw this morning at 6 a.m. at least my time, Eastern Standard Time, we have a shaved bottom. So it just came out of nowhere. There's no fundamental news. It just boop, we're just gonna pump. I took profits on Bitunix, just as an FYI. A small position, but I already doubled that position, so I'm good with that. Yeah, 480. If I climb back above here, I'll just in the sense of like if I hold above here, I'll just close. If I can't reject off New York open low, I'll just close. I'll take the profits. What is that? 2108. That's 248. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. 450 day. I'm good with that. And then I did 2 on Bitunix, so 650 day. I'm good. I can just walk for the day and just call it a day. If I continue to go lower, I'll just wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And if we bounce and go back up higher, then I'll look for the short at the 21 area that I was talking about. That's how you do it, my friends. How it's done. Side note, some of you guys have been trading with me for a while and streaming for a while. You guys know how much I drink coffee. And I promise you, this is not an ad. Like Screen Crush or something like that. But I have transitioned into tea. And man, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. As a matter of fact, I started transition on the tea like 2 weeks ago. And then I was getting ready to head out, and I had to do some work. And I say, you know what, I'm gonna just drink some coffee. It's the last little bit of coffee that I have. Let me just drink some coffee. I haven't had coffee in a while. And that coffee made me feel like I was on something, man. Did not like it at all. So now I'm doing like these different infused green teas. Like the one I have today is it's a pineapple one. It's a good one. And then there's another one I had yesterday. It's got lavender in it, and I think it's like orange peels, if you will. I mean, it's a green tea, of course. It's real good, real good. What's up, boy? What up, boy? Always wanted to say that. What up, boy? How you doing, brother? Welcome. Yeah, that's kind of bullish. Yep. So this is the confirmation candle, right? I'm utilizing a 21 minute. You can look in confirmations on any time frame, but mainly what I'm doing with my intradays, 4 hour, 1 hour, and then 21 minute, and then I start looking at my 1 minutes. Did 1 minutes give me sweeps? It didn't give me sweeps. It just gave me a cool down candle. That was about it. Now looking at 1 minute right now, starting to reject off of that level. Oh, another side note. If you guys are trading on LBank and you do not have your VIP status, please DM me so we can make sure that your VIP status is affected or does take effect. You do get discounted fees when you trade through our referral link. I believe they're going to promote you to VIP 4, if my memory serves me correct. And I've ran it in comparison to other exchanges that we've traded on before. And when you're at a VIP 4 on LBank, it's actually the cheapest. So if you're doing, several trades throughout the day, especially if you're scalping in this type of weather, I've found that to be the cheapest route. Our other exchanges are still relatively cheap, not taking anything away from them at all. Just want to make sure that you guys get the most value as far as where you're trading. You save the most money. So, like I said, if you don't have your VIP status, please DM me and I'll make sure that gets taken care of. You got some free time, man? That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, they're selling on New York open low. Yeah, let's look at that 21 minute, right? So 1 minute did breach it. Don't get me wrong, it did. And so we got into it, but this is super important. If we close underneath it, then our continuation to the downside would continue. We're on a 3 from a setup phase, so we're on a bullish setup phase with the 3. Obviously, we need 6 more candles for this setup phase to change. We've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We got to get back into this region, which is 21.24, and that's on this current candle. That's if this thing just decides to boom up and start pushing up to those levels. If it's the next following candle, then it's 1, 2, 3, then 4, which is even higher. So this kind of makes a little bit more sense to me. Let me take this off real quick. Let me make sure I'm looking at that right. Yeah, I am looking at that right. So it's this candle right over here. Let's do this. Just make that, I don't know, orange. Let's just go with orange for kicks and giggles. No, because that might mess me up for a POC. Let's go look at doo-doo brown. So let's just make the assumption, right? Let's say we went all the way to here and we reject here with a throwdown back into here. Super bearish. They're just flushing both sides, bro. Technically, I already I'm at 480 on goal. Let me double check. I'm at 480 on goal because I did 2 there. Yeah. 450 really. Yeah, that's better putting. Still waiting for 2168. Yeah. It may not come, brother. I mean, a lot of it's gonna be contingent on what happens here on this candle. This little area right over here between here and here, right? Because we had our flush. You know, you have a massive bearish engulfing that sits right here that closed underneath New York open high. So that was the first line of defense for bulls. If they were going to be, you know, quote unquote super bullish, they had to close, they had to bounce off this area and then move up. We did come down and then we pulled back up, but then we came right back down when we closed underneath it. So that first line, they lost that line. Their second line of defense was going to be inside this range, which is going to be a little bit more riskier for a long perspective to hold this line. Again, got flushed. Now for recovery, because, you know, a good amount of people started buying inside this area, which I'm going to make the assumption that these are going to be trendline traders that took this. Yeah, let's go wick to body, wick to body. Maybe go a little bit like that. Yeah, go a little bit like that. So you got trendline traders, which had already flushed it to some capacity. I mean, you could even do 2 of them really if you wanted to set up like, look at it like that. You could look at it like that, however you want. So my assumption is that, you know, you have trendline traders that are trying to buy those, which 9 times out of 10 it's going to be retail. You know, I draw trend lines. Don't get me wrong. I'm not immune to that. Looking at trend lines, I draw trend lines all the time. But you know, these are some of like the obvious ones, right? Let's go deeper. Nope, that won't work. So let's right there. So you got your trend line traders that are longing this area right over here. I swear, if you see a massive flush, like if you just see this go bloop like that, it's because all this became liquidity. All that became liquidity. So going back to it, not to get too ADD on you guys, like we lost that first line. That was our second line of defense. People that took the long here, they needed to break back into this, and they actually, on this current candle, they needed to close back above this line right here, New York open low. So the fact that we're breaking against that, now you have a different set of type of traders, which I would say are maybe not more sophisticated, but probably they go against the crowd, right? So most people are looking at this and saying, okay, I want to long this. And then you have people still seeing this move up and they start aping in. Then you have your whales that are literally waiting for this. They already got this move down. Then they got their confirmation. Then they started shorting that. So while people are pushing in, trying to long it, then it becomes liquidity. Saying, how can you tell that they became liquidity? Look how hard that move down, or at least that rejection was from there. There's more shorts that started aping in, which would most likely be whales, in comparison to retail trades where they have tight stop losses. Maybe they entered somewhere, you know, maybe around here, and then they set their stop loss somewhere around here. Stupid. Not calling them stupid, just the idea is dumb. Then you have another set of traders that are right here that are longing right now that most likely are setting their stop loss to here. So if you see a flush, now you're probably going to have big boys that entered here, and now they entered here, right there on them. So they counted them. That's why, see, there you go. That's exactly what just happened. Now let's give us our flush of the, now we have balance. I'm going to see if a long makes sense here. I'm going to do a long. Because now I created that balance. So all I'm going to do now is just take some of my profits off of this. I'm happy with it. There you go. And we just booked another 114 on that. So we're up like 3 bills on that so far. I did hedge along on this imbalance right over here because I just created that imbalance, that liquidity for myself. And I just run a tight stop loss on that. Exactly what I just did. All right, let's see. Easy peasy, gentlemen. Easy peasy. No, but saying I want to draw my trend line like that. Yeah, you can. The proper way is usually going to be from wick to body. That's why it was easy to depict what was going to happen in that regard. I actually closed hype, just so you know. I just scalped it because I want to wait for it to revisit those areas again. So I just scalped it out. So just as an FYI, I did close hype. It was small profit. It was small profit. Nothing to brag about, but added to the bucket, covered fees, so no complaints. Yeah. covered fees on other positions. So like I said, no complaints. So same thing, right? Like it's rinse and repeat, right? Right now it's bearish, like bears dominated here, but let's look at liquidity real quick. Share that with you. Excuse me, sorry about that. Let's refresh this. So we still have a nice fat cluster at 2073, and then we got a good amount at 2145, and we've got a good amount at 2102. People that are shorting 2102. That's not a good amount. That's fake news. There's only 59 million there. It gets real chunky, like 2153, but it's fatter down at 2073. So, you know, there's that. And see here, I can hedge because I still have my long. I mean, I have the short. I've already taken out roughly 4 bills. Yeah, one on Bitunix, and then another 350 here on LBank. So there's 450 secured that's there. If I get pushed out, let's say I sweep that low, what have you, then I think I lose like $89 on that. So I have room to play with it, but my short will still be in play, right? So if my short continues to go to that level, you know, that's what, 253. So I'll be fine in that regard. That's all I'm trying to point out. So this is how I hedge. We got Doji appearing here. It's interesting. And we got to remember the characteristics that we've been seeing in the market from the 18th up until today's date. Taking both sides. Taking both sides. Oblivion. So I took a risky long. I did, but my thesis was I cleared that imbalance. Now I have a balance in that area, and here inside this zone, if you look right here, all right, hold on. Nice. Okay, so it's flushing. So I was going to show you intent over here, which is right here. Actually, we can start here. Right there. It's like right in between here. So can I get it here? I can get it there. Whee! We'll take it. Yep. Trend line rejection there. Let's look at sweeps. Nice cooldown. All right. Average is 2093. That sweep was 2095. I'm at 2091. Believe me, I got my finger on the trigger though to close that long. This is a manual close for me. I want to see that they can hold this intent. That's where this line was coming from. I apologize if I got distracted in that explanation. So swept there. All this would be liquidity if we could close above here. If we can't close above there, then it's dead. And there's 11 minutes left in this candle. Nice flush. Nice flush. See, still inside this range. Look at the wider scale of it. I don't need to go to a higher time frame because they're already marked for us. The aqua line and the red line right here, these are your weekly lows and this is your weekly highs. We never swept weekly high and we're getting close to weekly low. We could sweep weekly low and create a new weekly low. Then it's kind of what I was explaining yesterday. Like we're in from a weekly perspective, we're in like a price discovery per se because we need to find the weekly bottom. So we're still inside of this range. I should have waited for that. I didn't. I pulled the trigger on 21 minute. That's my fault. That was my fault, but that's okay. I'll work with what I have. I'm not that far off. I think I'm like $2 away from entry. Let's look at USDT. What did you do? Look at you. Look at that, bro. Look at that. If that thing decides to, you know, skyrocket up, then there's our one, because we don't have a one here. I can't get a one here because it invalidated here. So whatever occurs here, this would be my one, but I'm going to revisit back down again to give me my two. Oh, that looks like it's just gonna squeeze there. It's gonna go for another sweep. A hard fight area for these bulls. Hard fight area down to 2084. If they lose 2060, gone. Gone. So we got cooldowns with a couple sweeps. I got 3 sweeps so far with a cooldown. All right. I'm out of hype, so I'm just gonna go to the single chart now, guys. Yeah, USDT looks a little strong. If that thing starts to pump massively, then you'll know why. You'll know why ETH is dumping. Massive red candle in 4 hour. Yes, it's a bearish engulfing, but where it's positioned is kind of like not the most ideal area where you want to see a bearish engulfing. Yeah, they still got sell orders coming in at 2087. Yo. What was that? Was that 2089? Yeah. They're still adding to their shorts. That's got a shave bottom on that 1 minute though. Don't trust it. What are you? Damn. Hold on. Is that a shaved bottom right there? Oh no, but it's very thin liquidity right there, and that's the weekly low. Too big. No, that won't work either. Only way I can make that work is if I go here. Okay. And that puts us right back to where New York open low is at. That's your best case scenario. What is that? 2110. Technically, this did go lower. Five, 7, 4, 8. Yeah, so technically it did go lower, so it did sweep that. So I cleared that. I don't need this anymore. We're good on that. This intent is actually here now. Yeah, that looks like it wants lower. Yeah, see, I didn't like that right there. I don't like this candle right here. Yeah, people are shorting this line right over here, which was a support area. I get it. But I just think that becomes the same liquidity that kind of like what we saw in the downfall just now. Yeah. So I'm just thinking we have we'll probably get another sweep here. How much time left in this? 12 minutes left in that. All right. So I'll go to an 8-minute. Oh, snap. You gave me an impulse? You did. You gave me a 9. Interesting. No green dot though. Let's look at that 1 minute now. Come on. And then we move up. What was that? Hello. Where did you come from? I swear this little setup right here is very similar to this setup right here. Exact same thing. Shave bottom, move down, and then you got like the same thing right here on a micro scale. Right here. Woo, hard rejection. They do not want to give that 2088 up. That was a hard rejection. Come on. Get a little bit lower. Create that liquidity. Probably sweep these two over here. Come on, come on. Oh wait, you did. You sure did. It was very, very small, but it did. Let's see if it's done. Okay. Nope, not yet. Nope. There it is. There's one. There's a sweep. Yeah, see, you got to be super fast on that, man. You got to be super fast on that. You just got to be fast. So that reaction, you had two reactions here. So you have buyers that are stepping into this area right over here. Yeah, that's that 2060. That's what I was mentioning earlier. That's the nail in the coffin right there. Freak show. We're sweeping. Sweeping, sweeping. Another sweep right there. Sheesh. All right, new weekly low was just created there. New weekly low was just created there just now. The impulse. That's what this impulse candle is. That's why you hear me saying impulse. I'm gonna get a crab out of that. You got more in you? Bro, ETH, I'm totally okay with my short says thank you. So, note of that. Violate intent. Still got to keep those. Now we're just at weekly lows. New intent was over here. So that's a 75. I took more profits off of my short just as an FYI. Just skimmed a little bit off, took another 100 off. So the daily challenge in the sense of goals, it's already been hit. Yeah, hopefully you guys can still hear me. All right, good. We're just going to monitor these sweeps. See if we can hold. I'm going to look at liquidity real quick. Yeah, 311 million at 2072. And 450 million at 267. And all I did on my side is just flip profits on my hedge. Damn, you're in a hard. This. Let's see. Kind of like what we were seeing before, the opposite, where we had everybody that was longing that. Now you can see everybody starting to short this. That's just RSI, nothing really. Nothing on trend. Nothing on trend. One, two, three, four. Oh. We got a little bit of liquidity on these. Not much. A little bit. It's still kind of thin. But my speculation is right now is everyone is doing this. Shorting that. Technically, I actually kind of broke out of it. Five minutes left in that. Oh, there you go. So now they're kind of showing their cards here. Okay. That's what I want to look for. Right, because I'm going off of the body. Right, we had the first close, then we had this push down that we just saw now, but then we closed right back above here. We actually closed above where this close was at. So this close was at. So this line is showing us where the intent is, where buyers are looking to hold that level. And then this becomes sell side liquidity. So your liquidity is down below. And it's, you know, if you're looking on this time frame, it's kind of wide. But you can go from here to here and move it out like that. We'll just highlight that green. You know, and make the assumption, okay, if I'm inside this box, then this is an area that I want to look to long. If I violate the box, then it no longer holds and I go for another sweep. But let's look left. Okay. We had like a double bottom over here. It looked like a double bottom, but it's pretty damn close to it. We had a breakout above and then a test, and that pushed us into last week's high. Right, that was last week, right? No, excuse me. Was that last week's? That was this week's. Right? Yeah, that was this week's. My fault. That was Saturday's. Was that another intent area? Yeah, very similar. Very similar. Closed underneath, open, but closed above. let's keep going left. Oh yeah, we got a lot going on over here. Same thing, close below, but then close right on it, retest it, pushed, and that pushed us to 22s and continued through 23. Same thing over here, bounce, bounce, bounce. We got a small impulse up, small impulse up. Here we lost it. That was a hard lose and then rejected it. Same thing here. Bounce off of there. So this line is significant. Believe it or not, that line is significant. We've had several reactions in those areas. We'll probably fill in a portion of that wick. Let's do 50 of that. You guys enjoying the play-by-plays? You guys getting something out of that? If there's any buyers in the market, these are the areas that they need to start holding. So originally I had a box, right? You guys saw what I was doing earlier. I had a box from here to here. But as this candle starts getting in here more, I can start making my adjustments to it. Because I'm really focused on this liquidity right here. But as I'm approaching it more, I can actually bring this down. Let's just say it's here, right? Let's just go here. Wherever this candle closes, then I'll start measuring out. So then once I start getting inside there. All right. That leaves a sliver. Pull back above 50. If you guys shorted, I'm just hoping you guys took some profits. You know, you got some runners going. I got some runners going, so I'm good. On my side, four hour shows a higher low. This doesn't need a transpond on here. Just looking at this right here, right? Created that new weekly low right there. Let's see how much of it has to go in it. Projecting off that 0.5, that's not a good look. I'll tell you right now, that's not a good look. What are we on, 8-minute? Yeah. Oh, we got another impulse candle brewing here. But that's an exhaustion candle. Just because it's exhaustion does not mean that it can't flush and sweep lower. It's just showing us that, you know, bears are getting into oversold areas here from a T to 9 sequential perspective. I think logically, I mean, I obviously don't control the market, but just logically it would make sense for this, you know, if I can get it, it'd be great. Oh man, twice in a row. Come on, Saint. There we go. If we can get somewhere into like right around here, this line right here, get to somewhere like right around there. And if we're going to be bearish, then come right back down. But if we're going to be bullish, maintain and hold that area. Maybe get a retrace, like something like, even if it retraced like 88%, something like that, then we'll move back up. Let me look for a count. Let's retard it. Yeah, we still got this down here. Still got that. USDT's opening up with a shaved bottom. Oh, you got a shaved head. Wait. I am looking at bottoms too, okay. Damn, you're not a shaved bottom? I mean, I think we're like splitting hairs there. Data-wise, it reads as a shaved bottom, but it's probably off by a couple decimals. So basically thin liquidity that sits right there. Oh, that 4 hour just started. Oh, new sweep. New sweep. Yep, new sweep. Rinse and repeat. Actually, I don't need that. I don't even need that. And I don't need you. Hey, we're just filling in this wick. That's all we're doing is just filling this wick. So the box got violated. 0.5 don't matter no more. This is right, this is right, this is right, this is right. It's finding where this is going to be. Because, I mean, this could extend down to here. And if anything, I could always move this over. I mean, I'll get a crab if I go that way. And mind you, this is my main focus on this little one right here is just to get me back to wave B right here in this area. Good amount of liquidity that sets right here. That was the intense area. The intense area. No, you're not. This is the one that's, we gotta be careful with this one right here. There's the very thin liquidity right there. And yes, I'm scalping longs while I'm in here. I'm scalping longs. I mean, I think, I mean, just from observation, you know, and being with you over the last couple months, trading wise, I think one of the things that you run into a lot is your limits don't get hit. So I think maybe you're setting your limits at an obvious area where they get front ran. And I would try to expand upon that and try to create zones and give yourself like a 30 pip zone and then DCA on those 30 pips. You know, so if you got like $100, you know, you want to go in with, I don't know, 5 positions, 20 each, and then spread them across that way, across 30 pips. Maybe on the first 2, $5 increments across both, or whatever their dollar amount may be, whatever coin you're trading. And then set your invalidation. Excuse me. And set your invalidation. That's if you're going to be, if you're going to be working or if you're going to be going to sleep and you're just not on the charts. But like if you're on the charts and you have limit orders, I think that might be a little counterproductive because you can just float down to a lower time frame and then literally wait for the sweeps and then just start tagging the sweeps. And I don't want you to take what I'm sharing with you as what you're doing is bad or incorrect. That's definitely not what I'm saying at all. Setting your limits are fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I just noticed that there's a pattern that you miss a lot of entries, and then the move happens in your favor, kind of like what your bias was. So your bias is correct. Your technical analysis is correct. Now this just boils down to like a risk management perspective. And what I mean by risk management is not in the sense of losing money. It's risk management in the sense of the operative word in there is going to be the risk. You know, setting the risk in advance so that way you do have an entry. So starting off saying, okay, well, this is going to be like the minimum level that I know it's going to tap into. All right, okay, put a small position. So, because if it hits your minimal area, and then that becomes the rejection point or the support level and doesn't go to the remainder levels, you were right in that regard, and now you have an entry. So now you would just focus on where can I start adding to that position. And then, then setting your highest limit or your biggest margin at your like, okay, well, this has got to be the max as far as where it's got to go to. And then I'll have a heavier order sitting there. Me, I mean, I do this full time. So like when I'm on the charts, a lot of my orders are going to be market. I mean, I do set limits in the event that like, you know, I'm going to pass out, go to sleep, things like that. What is this? Order price. Oh, I do have an order that sits there. Oh man. But it went in heavier. Dang it. Shoot. It's okay. It's fine. Talking to myself. I had a limit. I was speaking of limit orders. I had 2168, but I just removed 2168 just now. Just as an FYI. I just removed it. So when I scalp, I'll scalp heavy, because I can get a short move, a short burst, and then I can make good profit on that. Like this is just kind of like point in case, kind of like what I'm looking at right now. I've already scalped the long twice. This would be my third time scalping it. But I like the level where it's at, so I'm a little bit more apprehensive in holding it. But I still have the short, which I've already skimmed down on this one here. The short was sitting somewhere around like 700 initially when I started, and I've taken out up to 550 now. I've taken 550 out of it, and then I'm just leaving 160 as a runner. So all I did is really just all I'm doing is just folding in my profits from my short back into my long, and then just adding a little bit on top of that. So even worst case scenario, even if I, were to lose, 500 on that entire position, I'm still at a break even for the day. Obviously, that's not what I'm going to do. That's not the objective. I'm just giving you like a worst case scenario. Even if I were to burn through that one hedge long, I would still be at a break even. As a matter of fact, I would be at a break even, still at a surplus, because I still have the short running. So I'd still have a small little surplus running into that. Again, that's not the intent. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to condition your guys' mind around, you go into a profit and then you look at your portfolio like, oh my gosh, it's growing. And then you try another position and maybe you lose like $100 or $200 or whatever. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I lost this money. It's like, well, where did you start for the day? And, if you started with, a 1K account for the day and you went up, 500, then you tried another position and then you lost like 250, you're still up for the day. If you go Now, if you start going negative, now you're like at 500 for the day, and you started with 1,000, then obviously there's an issue, there's a problem. But that's the risk aspect for it, and then you just gotta kind of manage that risk throughout the course of the day. You're gonna burn some here and there. You're going to. My initial entry was like 2093, and I had a sweep, and so I had a burn of like 89 on that, but then my short made up for it. My short, I had like another 2 something in profit on that, so I just took 90 from that, so I'm good. I'm actually at a surplus of 10 on that. So once you get into this frame of mind, it's in you're building your positions and you're utilizing hedges. You know, my hedge short right now, sure, it's a runner, but the main focus for me in it is to help me build a long so I can scalp a long. That's the main focus for me when I'm going to start shorting it. Excuse me, longing it. It's just it's used as a tool now to help. So if I can't get that entry and I burn like 20 bucks here, 30 bucks there, like the short is the short is still running in the background, so I can make up for that. Well, nice, you're on it. And that's just kind of like general advice, bro. It's not calling you out or anything like that. I love your progress. I've shared that with you in some of our private streams. It's one of the reasons why you have access to some of the indicators we have. Like I see you do work, so I'm just giving you some friendly criticism in that regard, as far as how you can assure yourself on more entries and become more profitable, right? Instead of missing moves, focus on that, and then focus on the stop losses. If I were in your position, just, you know, from a coaching perspective and just watching you over the last, you know, several months now, your bias and your technical analysis is good. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You're still learning in some areas, so you're going to be on a learning curve, if you will. And even myself, I'll even use myself as an example. Like, I mean, I always put myself in the position of a student, right? So I'm always looking at ways that I can improve my strategy. So that part's never going to change as a trader, in my opinion. At least if you're going to be a profitable trader, you're always looking ways to refine small things here and there. For you to literally make that jump and go into like serious profits where you feel more comfortable with your positions, I would focus on entry, right? You have a taste of it now. Now you're looking for the liquidity sweeps. You know, you're looking at the lower time frames, which is perfect. Now focus on the DCA aspect of it and the stop losses. Try maybe even doing a trail stop loss. So, you know, first target hits, takes like 15% out, hits another target, you know, maybe takes like 30% out, and then if it hits your third target, it completely closes you out. Back down she goes. Yeah, you just got super bearish people just literally shorting this. Anything that pumps above that, they're just shorting that. So that screams scalp. Alrighty. It's okay. Stop losses will happen. Stop losses only just mean the entry was bad. Doesn't mean the bias is bad. So that's going to be my time with you guys. I appreciate you guys spending the last 3 hours with me. I do enjoy doing these streams, especially when there's movement. It's exciting. I love the questions that you guys ask. Always feel free, keep them coming. Even after this stream, if you're watching this at a later date, later time, always feel free to put them inside the comment section. Any questions that you may have, I'll be answering them for you. You guys that are already part of the community and that are here, thank you for being here. You guys know the drill. You can post anything inside of the war room, or if you want to have a little bit more of a private conversation, always feel free to DM me. I'm going to do my absolute best to do these more regularly through the month of June, through the month of here. You know, doing these for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week, it tends to burn an individual out. I'm not going to front on that, but I do know that there's information out there that you guys need to know, so that way you can be more profitable and you can feel a bit more confident in there. So that's my testament to you. I do have the heart of a teacher, so that's where I like to place myself to make sure that you guys are getting the utmost best information when it comes to either trading BTC or trading ETH, or if you're just trying to get an understanding on the market altogether. Other than that, like I said, I appreciate you guys for being here. Be safe while you're in this market right now, while we see some dips that are going on. It's scalp weather, so don't be too proud to, you know, take profit on that position. Even if you think you caught a Pico bottom, don't be too proud to take profits on that. And the same thing goes for the short. Same thing goes for the short. If you were shorting with me earlier this morning at the beginning of New York Open, you know, start taking some profits on it, right? We've been taking both sides for the last week and a half now. So nothing really worth holding on to outside of scalps, and you can be extremely profitable with those scalps. But that being said, God bless you guys. I love you guys, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Same time, same stream.